Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live for another wonderful broadcast. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about joy. Now, that might sound like a strange topic to talk about on September the 11th, it's what it is today. And it is in no way disrespectful of the memory of those who lost their lives 19, I think it's 19 years ago now, um, in the um, World Trade Fair uh, problem, attack. What else can I say? Hi there, Jody. Hi to Sandy. Hi to Charlotte. I just want to let you know that the point that I want to make today is we can all feel sadness and we can all feel um, any emotion. And then it is our choice whether we stay in that emotion or move out of it. And so that is what I want to talk a little bit about today. And what I want you to do is to practice being able to do that. I got a hair problem today, haven't I? Lots of it all over the place. Okay. So, oh, I am glad. I am joyful to have this much hair. All right. So, um, we got some beautiful quotes for you today on joy that was supplied to us, of course, by Jody, our admin. And Jody, thank you so much for taking the time to give us these. And by the way, these quotes and the stories I'm going to tell, some of them may be a week old because this is the broadcast I was due to do last Friday. And then I had to cancel the broadcast. So rather than completely redo a new one, and I really wanted to talk to you about this switching over of mentalities. So here's the first quote, and it says, "The joy that isn't shared dies young." And so to me, that is so true, isn't it? That if you are feeling joyful, share it with other people, all right? One of the things I used to do when I was in management was if anybody had bad news, this is the interesting thing. If anybody had bad news, I'd get everybody together and tell them the bad news and get it over with. Because I found that took far less time, for people to recover from it and to move on from it than if it trickled out all day long, because everybody would be going, "Did you hear about?" No, and then people would spend a lot of time explaining it. What I found with joy was that it was another reason to get everybody together and share the joy. Because again, everybody would hear it at one time. Everybody would quickly ask the questions they wanted to ask. And it just was exactly the same reasoning. Does that make sense to anybody? That the whole spectrum of joy and sadness, if you like, are equal, and we shouldn't give either of them any more time than is necessary. So, what is joy? Well, it is defined as a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Any of you ever had it? And if so, when you think of the word joy, what do you think of? All right. And so if when I mention the word joy and you can feel that you've had it, and give me an example of when you had it. And again, if you think about it, why would I choose this subject for such a sad day as September the 11th? Well, the reason is because one of the things, as I've explained to you before, one of the ways you correct your thinking, if you like, is you look at the antonym, the opposite. So if you're dealing with misery or despair, it's a really good idea if you want to have emotional intelligence and be able to control that despair and misery, to literally say to yourself, I know what I need to do for myself. I need to do something that brings me joy, because that will balance out the despair and misery. Now, does that make sense? You're talking about how do I get back in balance? Well, if despair and misery is on this side, something that gives me joy will help balance it out. Now, thinking about that, if I may say so, we've had Lionel and Jody in a very sad situation this week. Lionel lost his uncle. Yeah, he passed. And so, what I was delighted to hear was that in their household, because Jody's got her new to her oven, that she is busy baking up a storm. And I am certain that baking up a storm brings not only her joy, but it also brings Lionel joy because of the results thereof. And would that be true, Jody? And have you found that it balanced out the grief? Now, it doesn't mask it, it doesn't stop it, but what it does is it balances it. Oprah said, I define joy as a sustained sense of well-being and internal peace. Sustained sense of well-being and internal peace. A connection to what matters. Sandy's saying, I'll be here, but listening from my phone. We'll hop back on the laptop a bit and be able to get no problem at all. Sandy, glad you're here. However you want to be here. And by the way, for those of you who are new to the broadcast, welcome. And feel free just to listen in if that's what you choose to do. Do some housekeeping or whatever it is that you some artwork or whatever that you want to do, and just listen in. Use it as a podcast if that is what you choose. The main thing is to take some time to learn every week, and that's what we do. And by the way, if you feel that you would like to join in the chit chat on the side here, please know that the chit chat words will be taken down as soon as I remember, which sometimes takes a day. But the words will go down, but the conversation I have obviously stays up on YouTube. And so if you want to talk to the room about something, but don't want me talking about it, just, say, Sal, don't repeat this. But what I may do is use it as a story. I might say, I have heard, one of my viewers talk about da-da-da-da-da-da, and do it that way. All right, so yes, Jody is saying it was a nice distraction, and Lionel felt loved and grateful that I made it a priority to bake that pie for him. So what Jody knows is that if you're feeling in grief, then to show great love is a wonderful leveler, if you like. And if you can practice that, you will find that you don't stay stuck in grief or stuck in mourning or stuck in anything. And one of the things I always say to the viewers, wherever you can, make sure that every hour you get up and get away from your grieving, if that's what you're doing, or your sadness of any sort, your misery or whatever. Get up and do something. And it might be as simple as 10 minutes of, cleaning a window. But you will be amazed the difference that makes to you. And so to me, one of the things that I am practicing is don't sit too long. I think one of the many downsides of this pandemic will be that we've learned to sit down a lot. Because we haven't been going out as much, we haven't been active as much. And so it's really important for us to get up and do something. I am really quite proud of myself. I have maintained my steps per day goal. In fact, I've just upped it, even though, I'm spending a lot less time out and about. And that is a personal choice. How do I do it? I get up and I move around more. And so if you look at it, and this is one of the things that brought me great joy, if you look at it and say to yourself, okay, fine, I want to get in this many steps a day. And if this is the amount of steps that are going to bring you joy, then divide that by maybe 12 hours. You're probably conscious. There's a difference between being awake and being conscious. Am I right? How many of you understand that one? And so, divide it by 12 hours and say, okay, I need to get in this many steps each hour. And the funny thing is, you'll be surprised how little time that takes. Now, I know that Jody, for example, was telling me that she has found a, a, a video that actually walks her a mile, um, an exercise type program. And it literally, you walk along with it and you will have walked a mile by the time you finish. Clever. See, to me, that's proactive. That's saying it's not what I can't do, it's what can I do. And so that is really important. I quote Gilbrain a lot, and so I thank you so much, Jody, for putting one of his quotes in. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. Now, I'm pretty sure that that would sort of be a fair description of most of my viewers, because I've always said, if there's one thing that our viewers really understand, it is caring. And when I think about what we do, I think caring for ourselves and about ourselves was very difficult to learn. How many of you would agree with it? That coping with ourselves, if we had learned to cope with ourselves better, we would have not gone through a lot of the problems that we did. That's so cute. Sandy's saying that using Hermione, now Hermione is her sourdough starter, which she has started. I'm so proud of you. As a savory pancake as we speak, it's bringing me great joy. Yes. And, I'm going to be doing this evening, I'm going to be doing some quick recipes and stuff with just some ground chicken. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is to make a wrap. And so, a savory pancake is a good way as well. So I want to tell you something, Sandy. I went to go and have dinner with some friends, my neighbors, which brought me great joy this week, and lots of calories and lots of challenges with my blood glucose. But hi, Sam. But the interesting thing was I actually made bread, but I made individual rolls, but I put them next to each other in a bread pan. And so they all rose up, and I could take a whole loaf, but it automatically broke into four. When I got there, you just literally had to tear it apart because they were four rolls next to each other. So I just want to give you that tip, Sandy. If you end up baking for more than one person, it's a really great way to bake, some rolls, and it looks wonderful. All right, so Sam's saying, hi, Mama Sal. Hi, Jody and Sandy and everybody else. Glad to be here. It's been a very hard day for me today. Hearing your uplifting messages and calming voice is exactly what my soul needed. Aww. That brings me joy, but sadness to hear that you've had a tough day. Yes, and Jody says, I am a great believer in the importance of finding joy each day. Jody, the interesting thing is that you are well aware that that's your responsibility. And I think that is the difference. When you realize it is your responsibility to find joy in each day, it's not somebody else's. It's not it's not somebody else's job to make you happy. It is your job to make that shift. And if you do, you will have gained. I like to look at it this way. If you are capable of seeing that this is your stuff, not somebody else's, that you are responsible for changing it, then you know that you have gained emotional intelligence. And that to me is the key. Can I change my emotion? Am I strong enough to change my emotion and get out of the hamster wheel and move on? Thank you very much, Sam, for that kind contribution. So coping with our minds, how many of you have found great joy in coping with your mind a little better? I'd like to say it's our biggest task, quite honestly. And it is the way to happiness in so many cases. And, to me, if you can keep growing and doing that. And by the way, if you have, hi, Roseanne, thank you. Roseanne, that brings me great joy to see your face, your name there. For those of you who don't know Roseanne, she was one of my earliest viewers. And it seems a long time ago, and I guess it is. So here's the thing, all right? Great joy is all about what we do to control ourselves. Yeah, Jodie's saying it sure is a big task, and the landscape of it can change so much daily. Yes. And have you noticed that you can actually be in a very joyful place, and one telephone call can just send you back down into despair? And so, excuse me, if we know that it's possible to go down that fast, you do understand it is equally possible, if we have control, to come back up again that fast. And that is a choice. Oh, excuse me. So, just for those of you who are coping with limited funds, as I said, tonight, we're going to be doing some more limited funds in the kitchen stuff, and I hope that you enjoyed it. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but on the last couple of broadcasts, when I put them up onto replay on YouTube, I've actually started to put chapters in there. Have any of you noticed that? Where you can go back and pick up on certain topics. Now, I might not have them all in there, and if... but most, I've tried to take the main ones in there. And so I would encourage you to just, if you've missed a broadcast and, you want to just check some of the topics that we talked about, just check on that. And by the way, it's a nice way to introduce somebody to the broadcast. If you know that we've discussed that particular topic, you can actually just go to there and then just take the, I think you right click and it says copy at this point in the video, and you can just pass that on to somebody who's struggling. Richard Wagner said, joy is not in things, it is in us. Joy is not in things, it is in us. However, how many of you going, oh, Sal, there are some things that bring me great joy. So let's have a little chat about that. Whilst we understand that it's, I've always said that life is about memories, right? It's not about things, it's about memories. But, I just want to say, what things do you own that give you great joy, right? And while you're busy typing, I hope, I want to tell you that it was so funny. Yesterday, I was busy doing some, hi, Erin, good to see you. Yesterday I was doing some things, and I sent Clarence the cleaner, he's my robot, call him Clarence the cleaner. I sent Clarence the cleaner off to go and do some vacuuming, and I was thinking I hadn't used him for a while, and there was that part of me that went, I wonder whether it's really worth it. An hour later, I opened up his garbage area, and I saw how packed it was, and I went, oh yeah, that's worth it, and I emptied it. I just want to tell you, in the time that it took for his battery to wear out, I had to empty him 4 times. And then I went, oh yeah, that's why I've got you, Clarence. And boy, can he find hair in the strangest of places. I think I must drop more hair than my German Shepherd used to drop. You know what I mean? It's just like the dust area, the dustbin area of my robot, it just seemed to be packed with hair and dust. When I say dust, I think a lot of it is talcum powder from my bathroom. So that's it. Yeah, Jodie's saying, our freezer and new to us oven have given us so much joy already. Yes. And Jodie, you remember when you ordered up the freezer and you heard that it was going to take 3 months to get to you? I remember that's what it felt like. And I didn't feel great joy, but I want to tell you, when mine arrived, I really did feel great joy. By the way, for those of you who might be coping with stress at the moment, just know that we do a special broadcast on a Sunday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific time. We do a special broadcast on how to relax and just forget about all the stress. And I know that some of you were with me last week where we did a guided meditation, and I will do another one on Sunday for you. What I'd like to be able to do is to give you those so that you always know if you want a guided meditation, that you can, because it'll be there on the chapters, that you'll be able to just go back and replay that when you want to. So if we've got it in our heads that joy is a choice that we make every day, then we know that we have control. Jonathan Lockwood Huey said, "The essence of life is not in the great victories and grand failures, but in the simple joys." And Jody is saying, Taily, that's her little fluff ball with 4 legs and a waggy tail. And she said, Taily owns us, and he brings us daily joy. Yes, I think anybody who's got a dog knows that, especially a fairly young dog, knows that there is so much laughter and joy in owning a young dog. And then when the dog gets into sort of, the older years, it's like a moving floor ornament, but such a joy to just know that you've got this moving floor. Or that's what I used to call Bud. But like, hello, he's my moving floor ornament. When he was not doing too well, it was just joyful to know that unconditional love. How many of you have a pet that brings you, as Jody says, that unconditional love, and therefore brings you great daily joy? Have you noticed they don't hold grudges the way that humans do? They forgive really quickly. Not only that, they talk without opening their mouths too much. They can talk with just a look, or just the way in which they bark, or, it is truly amazing to me, the communication they are capable of. Now, I was telling you about the fact that I went to go and have dinner with my neighbors, and it was such joy. And I want to tell you, it was like a major feast that my neighbor put on. And it was a lot of fun. And she obviously had great joy in preparing it. And that was obvious. You could tell in everything that she did, it brought her great joy. There was probably enough food to feed about 12 people, to be honest. And I knew that I should not be eating the scallop potatoes, right? I'm pre-diabetic, and, I could tell that there was a lot of, cheese sauce in there and potatoes and everything else. And I'm going, I should really stay away from that. Yeah, right. I had 3 helpings. But I had such joy eating those 3 helpings. And Jody, I don't know if you noticed, but today I managed to get my blood glucose back down, my morning one back under, my goal mark. And I was so happy. I was just like, oh. And the funny thing was, after that huge meal, I looked at her and I said, please tell me there isn't a dessert. But I was laughing, but there was part of me was going, please tell me there isn't a dessert. And she said, yeah, of course there is. She brought out this incredible dessert. I don't know if any of you have made it, but I want to tell you, it was so easy to make and so impressive. She'd taken ice cream sandwiches, the ones that have got a little bit of wafer on top and bottom, and packed them into a dish, and then covered it with caramel sauce, and then another layer of those ice cream sandwiches, and then Cool Whip over the top of it with more drizzle of the caramel sauce. And it was just like, please tell me that isn't as good as it looks. And please tell me it tastes terrible. And she said, I don't think so. And I said, oh, that's a great pity. Um, so, I had 2 helpings of the ice cream as well. And I just about got my blood sugar under control yesterday. I was really proud of myself because I was doing so well. And um, my neighbor's husband arrived with a doggy bag with enough ice cream to feed me for 3 days. Now, I could have eaten it all in one sitting, to be honest. I really could have eaten it in one sitting, but I literally went, okay, that's going into 3 different sections, and I will allow myself a little bit each night. And the good news was I managed to do well enough yesterday that even with all of that, I managed to get the blood sugar under control. But the funny thing was, Jody, I literally was eating mini wheats at 3 o'clock this morning for some reason, but I knew that if I'm going to eat anything, probably mini wheats were about the best thing I could have. So now, how many of you have seasonal tasks that you do? Do any of you sort of go, okay, fine, we're coming to the end of summer. What tasks should I have done in summer that need to get done before fall? And I have certain tasks that I try to get done. And one of them is I wash my duvet every season. Now, luckily, with this place, it has the largest washing machine I've ever had. And so it was amazing. I not only can I get the duvet in there, but I can get the duvet and the sheets in there all at the same time. I mean, go figure. Just an amazing size washing machine. And so I wanted to say that I found that there's great joy in having a system whereby you go, okay, if this is autumn, then this is the stuff. Some of you would have seen that on Do It Wednesdays, Do It Day, Wednesday, one of my seasonal tasks now is to clean out that greenhouse window I have in my kitchen. And I pulled the whole lot out and I, scrubbed it all down with Lysol and everything. Because it gets really hot in there and I've got plants and stuff. And so I just wanted to make sure it was disinfected. You see how I'm busy with the disinfectant with my hands? Isn't that ridiculous? Anyway, and I scrubbed it all down and got it nice and clean. And then what I'd also done is I asked myself a few months ago, what do I want to do in the autumn? Because I need to start organizing it now. And one of the things was, I know that greenhouse window is way too hot for plants in the summer. It got up to 108 in there. That's in American. It got up to 108 in there this week. And so, but I do know that come the fall, it is the best place to grow seedlings and things. So I'm getting ready to do that again. So I want to ask you, what music brings you great joy? Right? Is there certain music that brings you great joy? Because it's good to know, if you hear certain music. Now, my experience is that it's probably the music that was popular when you were in your mid-teens. Early to mid-teens. That normally is the music that will bring, have you noticed that? That's the music that brings you the most joy. And, obviously my music is way back beyond your music. But, I've noticed that if I'm feeling a little bit down on myself or whatever, I go, what I need to do is go out and get some fresh air. That brings me joy. And then I need to play some music from that time, and for me it would be things like the Everly Brothers and and stuff like that. And I find that Buddy Holly and that sort of music, because I am that much older. But what I do is I walk better when I'm listening to that music, and I feel better. Yeah. So, yeah, everybody. So, do you agree with me? And was that music that you're talking about? Because people are giving me their different music. Was that the music that you were listening to in your teens? So, one thing that I want you to know um, is if you can know that that music brings you great joy. Jodie's saying that she listens to Duran Duran every day. Yeah, and you can almost get smart and go, this is, remember we talked a few weeks back about having me time? You can almost say to yourself, at least once a day, I'm going to have me time, and I'm going to put my ear, you know, earbuds in, and I'm going to listen to some music. Now, do you know how I do mine now? Those of you who know that I'm busy trying to build up my core strength, and I've got one of these domes. It's just a plastic dome that's squishy. I want to tell you, that was probably the best $20 I've spent in a long time. I find that I spend at least, I try to spend at least 10 minutes on it a day. And I don't do it 10 minutes in one go. I have it positioned between my bathroom and my bedroom. And so every now and then, as I, go in to use the washroom, I come out. But as I come out, I stand on the dome. And once I'm on it, I find I walk on it and then I walk forward and back on it, forward, like this. I have a little routine. And what it's building is the strength in my ankles, and it's building this balance strength, and it is wonderful for me. And I have noticed that it really that it's done two things. It's brought me great joy because I can do things today that I couldn't do 2 weeks ago. But the other thing is that it's using muscles I have not used in a long time. So that doesn't bring me great joy because it brings great pain. But I understand the reason that I have that pain is because I'm using muscles I haven't used for a long time, and that brings me joy. Sam is saying, I probably listen more to my early childhood than teenage years. I was quite an odd teenager. None of my interests aligned with who I was back then. Right. Isn't that interesting? But we all have to go through teenage, right? I can remember when Yvonne's son got to be a teenager, and Yvonne would be up, telling me about what he was up to. And I go, Yvonne, you've only got another 10 years of this. Once he's 25, you'll find he will love you again. And not only that, when by the time he's 25, he will appreciate you. And so just keep knowing that this will pass. It's called teenage. And it's tough, but it's part of our learning. Um, how about this one? To find the universal elements enough, to find the air and the water exhilarating, to be refreshed by a morning walk or an evening saunter. Saunter being a slow walk. And so to me, do you take the time every day? Is it part of your day to get some fresh air? Think about that. Do you make it a point of your day? I literally have a routine that I try to keep to as far as I can. And part of it is, and now it's time for me to get outside. And that's twice a day. In the morning after I've, either before I shower, because part of my go outside could be to go and work in the garden. And why? It's part of my exercise program. I'm amazed how many steps I put in when I'm working in the garden. Also, it's my resistance training because I try and dig something if I can, but I really make a point of walking from one end of my property to the other end and back again. I'm not looking for shortcuts. I'm looking to get the steps in. And that brings me great joy. And that's how I keep my steps up. The other thing is if it's raining, um, I'm so grateful. It brings me such joy to have 29 feet of covered deck because I can go out there and I can, uh, you know, uh, literally vacuum the carpet on the deck. That brings me resistance training and also steps. I have this week had great joy. I moved my little mini greenhouse to another part of my deck, and I'm building it from those wire cube things. And so I've got one complete greenhouse, and I'm now busy building a second one, which I will then cover in plastic. And you're probably going, but Sal, how are you going to do that? Because it's going to get cold soon. And I'm going, and then I'm going to put in lights. I'm going to put in a couple of small lights into each greenhouse and to see how long I can keep the plants growing in there. Now, I will obviously kill some off, but then I will bring some inside to grow as well. So Jody's saying I'm guilty of not getting as much fresh air as I could be. Now, guilt's not going to do a whole lot for you, Jody. I think we had that discussion a couple of weeks ago, right, when we were talking about guilt and shame. And by the way, if you missed that, make sure that you take some time and listen to it during your me time. So here is the thing. Jody, what are you going to do about it? Because it's going to get colder rather than warmer, and you're going to have more and more reasons not to go outside. So let's start. Let's start by working out what the excuses could be. So let's hear the excuses. All right, so Sandy's agreeing with that. I'm feeling the cooler weather. Yes. So for me, it could be that it's raining. Right? And that's why they made fleece. So the reason why people walk around so much in hoodies is because hoodies are normally made from fleece, and fleece is a natural rain repellent. How many of you have found that out? So this is called time to get out the sweats and put the hood up and take some time. Now, do you have to be in the rain? No. You could, maybe walk somewhere that is covered and still be, as I said, if it's really raining, and we had some torrential rain hit here, I can sit out on my deck and still be in the fresh air. See, the main thing is, am I getting fresh air into my body? So what I want you to do, as usual, is think about what you can do, not what you can't. Jody's saying that she's going to make a plan to get outside daily before the snows come. I love the autumn. And that is why it's a really good idea, Jody. If you can just get outside and watch the leaves fall, I think you would find that very relaxing and very peaceful, and it would bring you great joy. And by the way, if you took the fluff ball with you, that would also bring you lots of laughs at the same time. And I know that you were doing so much to help yourself. And for those of you who don't know, Jody has lymphaderma, and just very recently, she had a flare-up, and it put 25 pounds of liquid onto her body in days. Am I right, Jody? And so you imagine that one day you were this weight, and a week later you're 25 pounds heavier. Now, I've had something similar to that, so I know what it does to your psyche. I know what that feels like to some degree. I don't know how it feels to Jody. She did 25 pounds in 2 days. She put on. Can you imagine that? And she had struggled so hard. She'd lost over 100 pounds. And suddenly you put on 25 pounds in 2 days. But Jody has taught me so much in her way about, for example, when I, have these blips on my blood glucose, Jody taught me it's a blip. It's not don't give up worrying about your blood glucose. Keep working on it, because this is a blip. You can balance this out. You just need to do the right things for a couple of days. And so Jody knows that she can get rid of that 25 pounds. How much have you lost already, Jody? And she said she felt like a water balloon. Yes, and fearful somebody would have a pin, I'm sure. And so she's already lost 6 pounds. How about that? Isn't that amazing? And she said, my job is to continue to eat well and make the right choices. Now, there's part of me, Jody, that says it's a bit like with my blood glucose stuff, right? That it at the time isn't necessarily joyful, right, to have to make those right choices. But I have to tell you, this morning, if you could have seen my reaction when I saw that where my blood glucose was this morning, it brought me great joy. And I went, the joy is that I can go and eat badly and know that I can balance it out within sort of 36 hours. That brought me great joy. And I thank you for all that you've taught me, Jody, because, I know that you think that you didn't, but, you did, I think, an awesome job of teaching me that making a mistake on this doesn't mean that you failed. It means you're still learning how to get it right. And that is, and I see you doing exactly the same thing now with your lymphaderma, which is, okay, that's part of the illness that I have, that this can happen. But now I know how to get rid of it. And that is the main thing. I want to give a round of applause also to our viewer, Bernice, if she happens to listen to this. And part of the reason I want to give her a heads up is she is my cleaning buddy. Now, I don't know if any of you have a buddy system with anybody, but Bernice was one of the few people that I found that was willing to share pictures of things that she wanted to clean up. And I do recommend it. And Bernice sends me pictures that I can relate to. She actually sends me pictures of bits that look really messy and then sends me a picture when she's cleaned it up. And I can feel the joy myself in what she's done. So I know what it's doing for her as well. So what I do is I take a picture of something every week and send it to Bernice. Why? I know that she, above probably most people, will support me in what I'm trying to do and not judge me for it. Does that make sense? All right. So Jody's saying, we support each other. You've taught me more than most of my medical professionals. Wow. Samantha's saying, Jody, you are so selfless and kind. It is not surprising that you also are strong and resilient as well. Yeah. Hi, Nasha. Nasha's saying, Sal, how can a person stick to a healthy diet after their entire life the diet wasn't healthy? How is that possible? Discipline, Nasha. I was way older than you. You must remember I had to choose to change my eating habits after 71 and a half years of eating badly. So, you are half my age. So if I can do it, you can do it. It's called, I choose not to eat as much of the bad stuff. I'm going to show you this evening what I think is quite interesting in terms of portions. I'm going to start talking more about not only how to eat more, on a reduced budget, but also about what a portion looks like, and things like that. So to me, Nyasha, it's not about. You're saying you didn't start getting healthy until my late 40s. I thought you were 37. Oh, no, who said that? Oh, Jody. Jody said that. All right, she didn't start getting healthy until her late 40s. Okay, I missed the two things. Nyasha's saying, I'll message you after the broadcast. I need some help. Okay, and by the way, anybody that needs some help, feel free to message me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Now, I want to tell you something that, Lauren, it has to be one of our sort of success stories that not many people know about. Because Lauren, for those of you who don't know, is wheelchair bound. And what I find is that she is being sent a lot of challenges at the moment, and it's amazing how she's dealing with them. Just before I get onto the story, let me just read what Samantha said there. My trouble is I keep waking up in the kitchen with sandwich meat and cheese in my mouth. That's protein. Sam? I'll get Jody to make a comment on that. But, if that's what you're going, if you've got sandwich meat and cheese, that's 2 lots of protein. That's way better than a sandwich. And yes, you're saying, I'm 35 and it's hard. I'm being told to eat healthy. I was in my 70s when they told me to start eating healthy, or when I listened. It was either eat healthily or you're going to be, you're pre-diabetic, you're going to be diabetic, your choice. So, and I came home. When was I told, Jody? Mid-December. And I know that my doctor said to me, enjoy Christmas, but then after that, get control. And I came home and I said, no, I'm going to start right now, because if it's this bad, I want to give myself a fighting chance. All right, so Jody's saying, Samantha, I was on medication that caused me to sleep eat. I wake up with Ben and Jerry's and a peanut butter sandwich in bed. Yeah. We all want that medication, right? So the trick is, don't have it in the house, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Jody's saying that the deli meat and cheese is not a bad combination. If you can, if you can eat that, and quite often I do that. If I'm late at night and I'm craving that snack, there are 2 things I've learned to do. Deli meat wrapped around a string cheese is one really good way. But if I'm craving something sweet, then I eat mini wheats. Isn't that funny? And because mini wheats are complex carbs, I think they do well. All right, so Sandy's saying, Sal, we were both diagnosed at the same time. I remember seeing your video on, when you were researching. Okay, so that's good to hear that we're on the same journey in a different way, right? But you are type 1, not type 2. Are you type 2? And Sam is saying, Sandy, it's probably in large part because it's an easy snack, protein, and not a package of ham later. Might as well be a plate of pasta. Well, you're saying you miss Ben and Jerry's so much. You know what Jody has taught me? You see, what Jody has taught me is that if I have the discipline to not eat Ben and Jerry's every night, I can still have it. All right. The main thing is to get control first. So if I can, the way I look at it, I'm not joking. Can I give you an example of how joyful I get? I actually took my blood glucose last night, and I normally don't test at night, except I was, out of control for a day. But I took it last night, and you know why I took it? I really wanted to have something. But I promised myself that if my blood glucose wasn't down to normal levels, I wasn't going to have it. And I literally took my test reading and I was counting it down, as it sort of started to calculate it. And then it told me what the reading was. And I went, that's 2 hours after I've eaten. It's that. Okay. And then I knew I could eat something else. And I was really proud of myself. Yes. And that's what Jody taught me. I say it's okay to flirt with Ben and Jerry, but not to have a relationship with them, right? Don't date them 3 days, 5 days a week, right? And The other thing is I have found because of that training that Jody was really good about get control first. Once you've got control, you can start playing a little bit. But the main thing is, can you get it under control? And the funny thing is, Jody is the first one to congratulate me when I get control back, after I've had something that took me out of control. And I keep saying, but you taught me how to do it. Why are you surprised? You taught me how to do this, Jody. And I literally, when I got the reading, when I was, after the ice cream and the huge meal and everything, and I saw the reading and I went, okay, fine. What did I learn? I need to drink lots of water. I need to just be way careful about what I eat for. This is not the fun side. I have great joy. This is the fun side. I don't know if you heard, but my food processor, after about 20 years, gave up. I want to unpack it. We'll do it towards the end. If you want me to. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, so Jody's saying it brings her great joy to see your success and happiness, right? She likes to see my success and happiness. But the interesting thing is that Jody taught me how to be successful. So, you guys thank me for teaching you stuff. And I guess I always say to you, I didn't do it. I just told you what to do. You actually did it. So, Jody, I understand that side. Do you want to see the new toy unboxing? It brings me great joy to change my plans every now and then. I could do this is an ill-fated broadcast, this one. All right, because last week it got messed, and now it's going to get messed again. I can open it, right? And I will try not to mess with it. Now, the reason I'm saying that, what did I do with it? I had something to show you. Oh, I forgot to get it. I'll have to show you in a second. Jody, can you remind me after I've done this? After I've got over this unpacking thing, to show you the thing I unpacked a couple of weeks or a week ago. Can you just remind me, please? Yeah. Actually, I think I've got a slide on it, but we might not get that far now that I've got the unboxing going on. Okay. Now, this is my birthday present to myself. All right. Luckily, my processor nuked itself at the same time as my birthday month. Okay. Yet another box. Okay, there it is. So it is a blender, and it has a food processor for my dough, and it also has a smoothie thing all in one. Should we unpack it a bit more? Please be careful of the blades on the Ninja. They are scary. All right, so all right. Oh, it also does frozen fruit blending, yes. Now, you do know that I am a great believer. I'm a great believer in the magic bullet, and I have to say that. I probably literally wear out a magic bullet every few years. And the reason is I use my magic bullet probably 4 or 5 times a day. So in a way, this is a giant one of those. And the reason that I knew I needed it is because of the fact I'm making more bread now. Please release the bread. Okay, hang on, people. This is the lid. And this says, please release and lift the handle up. Align the arrows. Okay, seriously. I might need to get glasses. Yeah, and align the arrows from the handle. And then lower the handle. Okay, that's going to be later. I know that. That's not a major problem. I can do that. Now then, how many of you unpack things and keep the box for a year? Okay, these are obviously the lids to the little smoothie things. And this is the blade. This is not a sharp blade. This is a mixing blade. It is that fun. Okay. Now this evening I will we'll do some processing. Okay, so now this is, wow. These are the blades that I obviously need to be careful of. And I will put this through the dishwasher before I use it tonight. I'm having such fun, people. This brings me great joy. So those are the blades, and I want to tell you that's an amazing amount of cutting area. I can see why those are dangerous. Okay. And these are my smoothie mugs. So now, all right, so then that's the lid. Now, the one thing that I was surprised about is that smoothies are not as healthy for us as we think, but it depends what you're making, is what I found out, all right? So if you're making smoothies with almond milk and a couple of bits of fruit, that is way better. And what I do now, just so that you know, I make my smoothies because I'm trying to lose weight. I am losing weight. What I'm making my smoothies with is that and some Metamucil. All right, so that's extra fiber all the time. So that's my daily smoothie. And sometimes if I'm hungry but I don't want to eat anymore, then I will make another smoothie like that. All right, so here's some more of those blades. Are these blades, just for those of you who know, are these blades as dangerous as the other ones? They look really sharp to me. I'll have to be a bit careful of them. Okay, so that is the blade that obviously when I make smoothies, that's the blade I use. Come on. Oh, that's what I was looking for. Hang on a second. You remember I was saying I have to be careful when I unpack this? Let me show you why. Lauren sent me a link to some special socks I could wear to help my Achilles, which was a really good idea, except when I cut open the package, I managed to, hi Kim, I managed to cut the sock. And then I didn't just do it on one of the socks, I did it on both. Now you're wondering, why is that a joyful moment for me? The joy was, thank goodness I bought two. And now I'm going to be learning how to mend again. I haven't been done any mending for a long time, but I have the skill. So I know I can do it. Okay, that looks heavy, people. Not too bad. Okay, so this is the dough making side of it. Yeah, that looks, and food processing. Warning. Open with care, contains loose, sharp blades. Keep the jar upright when opening. Okay, I can do that. There we go. So that releases very easily. And these are very dangerous looking blades. Good. Can't wait to use this tonight, people. It wasn't my plan, but you line that up. I am pretty certain that I will. Oh, look at that. It's even got. Okay, that didn't work so well. There you go. It's even got a thing to put in the oil for making mayonnaise. Do that one day. We clean the blades with a brush. Oh, I would just stick it in the dishwasher. But yes, good to know that if I want to hand wash it, I'm pretty sure I can stick it in the dishwasher. I'm certain somebody will tell me if that's not true. I very rarely clean blades like that by hand. Okay, it's not easy with arthritis, people. It's heavy. Now, the first good news that I have is that it's got suckers underneath it. And I'm really happy with it. So now, obviously that helps keep it steady. So isn't that fun? And then it came with a magic cookbook thing, which I probably won't read too much of. In both official languages, 2 different ones. So basically, what we've got is frozen fruit blending. We like that. Food processing, dough mixing, which is part of what I wanted for. Interesting. Kimmy also says she does hers with a brush, all right? Yeah, and so it's got some nice ideas about how to do some blended fruits and things. And obviously, sweet carrot cookies. Now, I've got some sweet. I've got some carrots I want to get rid of, so we might try that. Easy pizza dough would be a nice thing to try. Big blonde brownie bites. Warm Hill peach cobbler. Oh, focaccia. We love that. And then emerald green. Oh, I can have great fun with this. I'm going to buy some new stuff. So we will start buying some stuff and play with it a bit. Okay. So the main thing is, this is not a luxury for me. This is something that's going to last me the rest of my life, as far as I'm concerned. And I would say that I don't know how many of you have had one of these, but I have a feeling. I was actually quite surprised that it was the price that it was. I thought it would be way more. What I don't know is, hang on, I've got to find that out. How many? I seem to remember that it had more power to it than. See if it says it on the box. It's not as much power as the really expensive one, but it was certainly better than most. Let me see if I can see where that is. 1,200 watts. As most of the Magic Bullet, for example, I think is only about 400 or 500. But so that's that's a lot of power in there. So that means ice is not a problem or anything else. Something, Kim? Those are so expensive, Kim is saying. I didn't think it was that expensive for what it was and what it did. And I've actually bought 3 machines. I've bought a blender. I bought a blender. I have bought a food processor and an ice cream maker type, whatever, slushy and smoothie maker. a dough maker. When I look at it that way, it is not that expensive. And even so, I think it was under $200. I don't know about you, but to get that amount of power for under $200 was pretty good. That's why I bought it. By the way, I did a lot of research on it. I spent a lot of time, and the joy of it was this. I actually tried to buy something with my Visa points, a lesser one, with only about 700. And the interesting thing was that I bought it with my Visa points, and then they wrote to me and said they had run out. And I went, okay, if they don't have it anymore, that means I got to do more research. You see, I didn't see that as a negative, except I could get it for free with my Visa point. But what I did, and I went back and said, okay, fine, what was the wrong thing about that? And then when I really researched it, I realized that the power of the one that I tried to buy was not as strong as I wanted. And I went, oh, thank you, God. That's very kind of you to make sure I couldn't buy that. And that's how I look at things. So to me, this is all in one for less than $200 was a pretty good deal. It's all in one. That's what I'm saying. So I think that's a pretty good deal. And I just hope that it works as well as I want it to. To me, it's like I know that this is not a waste of money for me because I use my machine every day. I use my magic bullet every day. You know that I am now making bread a lot more often because my neighbors have sort of found out I make bread. And it's the new bartering mechanism in this neighborhood now. Yeah, you can come for dinner. You know what to bring. Well, the other thing is what I want to do is start just playing a bit more with certain things because again, I see this more as an investment than an expense. It's an investment in saving some time for me. I spend a lot of time every day working with the bread, so to be able to speed up that process a little bit will be interesting. So yours isn't an all-in-one. So that is the interesting thing. So what you're saying is that if you had to buy just the processor bowl on its own, that is expensive. Yeah, Kimmy, I can imagine that. And with anybody on a limited budget, when we buy, and this is something I learned a long time ago, if you're going to buy a piece of equipment like this, it is actually pays you to wait a bit longer and get what you want or buy it secondhand. I want to tell you that I was amazed. I even spent time online in my local area to see who was selling stuff secondhand, to see if I could pick up a good secondhand one anywhere. And I think I probably would have done that, but it required that I get in my car and go places that I didn't want to go. So I just said, no, you know something, it's my birthday. I'm going to treat myself to a good one. So that was very exciting for me, and it brought me great joy, and it's going to bring me a lot more. So I want to make sure that we all understand that it is all about how we deal with things. I was telling you a bit about Lauren. Let me tell you, you remember a couple of weeks back, Jody made a comment and I said, that is so great. It's a bit like be prepared, not scared. Jody said, are you going to have a reaction or action? Now, listen to what happened to Lauren. Lauren has a neighbor who has breast cancer and a daughter who does nothing to help the mother. And the interesting thing was that Lauren was getting quite upset about that. And the neighbor ended up in hospital. And what Lauren told me was that she decided to be the daughter. And she literally went and, waved to the person in her ward or whatever. She did what she could to be that person for her. And I thought that was wonderful. And then, life has a funny way. Have you noticed that? Life has a funny way of repaying the karma. Because as some of you know, Jodi's mom has been in hospital. And what happened was that quite unexpectedly and out of the blue, her mum came home from hospital. Literally nobody had told Lauren that it was about to happen. And she just came into the house and, you could feel the joy. Am I right, Jodi? You could just feel the joy of her mum coming home. But listen to the roller coaster. They sent her home so she could go for an MRI somewhere else. And, it was just like a massive roller coaster of emotion. And I want to say that Lauren has done so well in the action rather than reaction to all this stuff. She has learned to, when she gets too stressed out, to give herself a time out. She has learned so much, and it's wonderful to see what she is doing for herself. And so a big round of applause for Lauren if you happen to see her. Here's an interesting one. This one I have permission to share as well. And this one comes from Bernice, who lost her father not so long ago. What she was telling me was that her father, in fact, had a mistress, and that he had gone to live with the mistress. Obviously I didn't know this. Now, I'm pretty certain that that's bringing up, some pretty interesting reactions to people, from people. And so when I talked to her about it, she told me something. She asked me a question. She said, that they had obviously, she and her mom had done a great deal to help her father when he was dying of cancer. But now the mistress was asking them to pay all sorts of things. And I believe, if I understood it correctly, that the mistress actually ended up with whatever money there was. And so when she told me that, and she said, what should I do about her asking us for money? And I said, well, I know what I would do. I would say no, and no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain why it's no, just no. And so I said the only thing that you need to be level in terms of balance is, have you done your fair share? And if you believe that is true, that the family has done your fair share, then that is enough. It's like more than enough. So that is a feeling. You understand how incredibly complicated that becomes in terms of emotions, because you're dealing with the emotion of being betrayed and, all that stuff at the same time as dealing with the passing of somebody. And I want to give Bernice a really 10 out of 10. At the same time, with all this going on, she then gets diagnosed with diabetes. And I don't know if any of you would agree with me. I want to say that Bernice has done a great job of taking all that possible reaction and turning it into action to help herself with her diabetes. She's having a lot of fun finding out, what food she can get and what things she can eat and so forth. And she's having great joy of sharing it all with us. We have a fitness group of people. And, she shares the pictures of what she's found. And it's actually, I don't know about the rest of you, but I find that exciting to watch her get excited about it. It brings me great joy. Some of you know that I went for a CT scan not so long ago. Now, you're wondering, why is that in a broadcast about joy? Well, I got the results. And the results were that my chest is fine and that my doctor recommended that I don't do any more CT scans, even though I'm entitled to have them every year. The Canadian system is, because I have a history of being a smoker, they will allow me to have a CT scan every year to check my lungs. But my respirologist, my specialist, said to me, no, don't bother to do it. His reasoning being, at my age, if I was going to have a problem in my lungs, it would be showing by now. And it hasn't shown in 3 CT scans. My lungs are doing fine. And not only that, I actually have surprising use of my lungs. It's amazing how that happens. Okay, Niash just saying, may I become part of that group, please? I'm not that disciplined as you all are, but it's possible to become a part of it. Yes, that is so, Niasha, but you need to be accountable. All right. So if you just that the people that are part of that group are very accountable people. So that is the only thing I would say to you. And one of the criteria is that you do tell the truth and that you report in daily on certain things. That's how we help people. So do you have testing ability? So this is the whole thing, We have what we call a fitness group, and where people who are struggling with their mental fitness around getting healthy. And this is, really, this is all about taking that extra step. This is not talking about it anymore. This is what are you doing about it type stuff. So, Nyasha, I am happy to do that if you have a way of being accountable. Do you have a glucose monitor? That's what I'm trying to find out. Okay. So you're getting your foot braces first. All right, that's fine. Now, so are you prepared to keep track of your food? So, what I'm trying to find out is, I'm more than happy to include you. All right. But again, just understand this is about accountability. And so, yeah. And by the way, if there's anybody else that wants to be accountable, that's what we started that group for. All right. So here I am with the CT scan. And the doctor said to me, by the way, they did pick something up when they did your lungs. They picked something else up. And how many of you know when I heard those words, red flags went up all over the place. And so I said, oh, and what did they pick up? And he said, they picked up that you have a small gallstone. And I said, oh, okay. So if anybody knows how to get rid of small gallstones easily, I think I bought some milk thistle because I believe that helps. But, just let me know because I'm very interested in being able to do that. So do you understand that I was concerned for a split second, but immediately The antonym of concern, the opposite of concern, all right, is peace. And I was at peace that it was small, and if it's small, then maybe I can do something about it. And that gave me great joy. And so do you understand why anytime there's a negative, I look for the opposite? And then it'll help me recover quickly. So could I be panicking about the fact, oh, I got gallstones? No. I just got something else I need to work on. Maybe that's another change of diet coming. How about this one? Life doesn't have to be perfect to be filled with joy. I found that so true. I think what I would ask you, and I wonder if any of you can help me with this, what stops your joy every day? Now, when you think about it, I think most of us yeah, sure. Okay. Sorry. Then definitely we would want to help you. And it's really important. If your blood sugar is that high, it is really important that you take this very seriously. And by the way, I would say that it is really important that you get a monitor. Okay? Really important. You're going to need to get very quick control. Now, it'd be really helpful for you, Nyasha, really helpful for you to buddy up with Bernice, who's just been diagnosed as well. Because the two of you together, she can teach you a lot of what she's learning, but also, that Jody is the one that taught me everything I need to know. Kimmy's saying what spoils her joy is winter. Yeah, but let me ask you something. Is there anything about winter that you enjoy? Just so you know. That's the thing I look at. What is the antonym of winter? Summer. You see, I look at it and go, about the same time as the equinox tells us we're now in winter, it's about the same time as the new year is about to start. Yeah, and Sandy the same, cold weather. She's not a cold weather person anyway. And so I would say that we can do this together. Nyasha, Jody, please make a note so that I do add Nyasha on. Nyasha, it'd be good for you to watch what Bernice is doing, because that will help you understand. Also, they probably are going to give you a nutritionist. Are they doing anything for it? And by the way, you said that you're scared, and I didn't. I meant to address that immediately. All right. I think we all got scared when we heard that that was the problem. And so therefore, Nyasha, what's the opposite of being scared? It's being knowledgeable, all right? And be prepared, not scared. So hopefully we will be able to hold your hand through this a little bit. But you are going to have to make changes. There isn't a choice now. If your blood sugar is that high, you're going to need to make changes. I didn't have to go on. It's interesting that I didn't have to go on the medication because my doctor trusted that I would do what I needed to do to stop it getting worse. Niesha's saying, I really want to help. I really want help. They put me on metformin, good. I told him about it, but he said to take it. So you have to take it. Yes, it could save your life. You understand, this isn't something to play with, Nyasha. This is something you need to wake up and grow up with this one. It's out of control. So we're going to hopefully, are they going to give you any training on it, Nyasha? Did they say they would, give you some training? All right, so it gets worse if you're not doing the right things. So that's why if we will help you, Nyasha, but you're going to have to get really honest about what you're eating, so we can help you see that this is what caused the problem. The other thing is, I would do everything you can to get a monitor, to be able to monitor yourself. By the way, I know that you can pick up a monitor for as little as $25 at Wish. Kimmy, I appreciate the fact that diet and exercise controls your blood sugar. Yep. But I'm pretty certain that Kimmy, that she has known that she ought to do exercise and eat better, and she hasn't. So therefore, it's really important she has a monitor, and really important that she gets honest. And we will do what we can to help you. But only if you can assure us that you're going to do the work, because it's going to be a big learning process. You need the monitor to find out what foods are causing the problem for you, Nyasha. Kimmy, that would be true if she were in the States, I think. I'm not sure if she can get a free monitor in Tobago. You understand she doesn't live in the States. And so what we're trying to help Bernice with is to understand that you've got to get really disciplined until you get it back under control. The reason that I can have ice cream or the occasional this, that, and the other is because I do have mine under control. All right, so Nyasha, how many other excuses are you going to have? To be honest, I want to eat fried chicken tonight for dinner. Yeah, of course. So how much are you going to have? And by the way, don't eat the fried bit of the fried chicken. Eat the chicken, but don't eat the fried bit. No, I'm stopping ice cream for now. Absolutely. You are definitely going to need to stop ice cream. You are definitely going to need to stop a lot of things. Jody's saying they may have a charity to contact to get a monitor for you, Nyasha. I'm not sure, but Jody's going to help you look into that. Yes, eat the chicken, not the, and if you're going to have a bit of the crunchy stuff, just have like this much, just so you've had some, but leave the rest, all right? And eat the vegetables. Are you going to have fries with it? Anything fried is probably going to be a problem for you right now. Anyway, we will have this discussion with you on the webs, on the group. Yeah. So do you all understand that we as human beings need to be able to deal with despair and sadness the same way we can deal with joy? And the funny thing is, joy has as much strain on our body. How many of you know unpacking this probably has put my blood pressure up and my resting heart rate went up? Yeah. Just because it's exciting, all right? And so it's a really funny thing. I would encourage us to try and make sure that we can get her a blood glucose monitor locally. That's the first thing we're going to try and do. But yes, we would, the thing is not getting her the monitor, it's how's she going to pay for the testing strips and things. And that's why that's going to be a little bit more concern. But I agree with you, Kimmy. I'm certain there are ways. It was really strange, I was dealing with some feelings this week of joy, and I was talking to Lauren about something, and as you know, that she was telling me about how she went to go visit her neighbor in hospital. And I, and from outside and waved to her and everything. And I thought, that's an incredible motivation to be able to do that. And it reminded me of a friend of mine who was a paraplegic. Now, paraplegic doesn't have use of their legs, same as Lauren. Quadriplegic doesn't have use of any of the, it's all four limbs that are out of commission. So anyway, I had a friend of mine who was a paraplegic. And in my previous house, I lived on the first floor. I owned the whole house, but I rented out the basement, the ground level, and I lived on the top level of the house. And so when she offered to come and visit me, I said, but how are you going to get upstairs, honey? I don't have an elevator. And she said, no, I can do that. And I just always remember her coming to my house and literally turning around with her back to the staircase and pulling herself up step by step up the whole of my staircase and into my house. And then we brought up the wheelchair, and luckily my house was pretty wheelchair friendly after that. But the joy, by the way, I literally went down the stairs and talked to her all the way up. I literally was on a couple of stairs below her, and I was walking up the stairs with my hands and knees and talking to her while she made her way upstairs. And all the way up, I was going, I cannot believe that you wanted to visit me enough to do this, because this must be difficult to do. But it tells me so much about how much you love me. And I just want you to know, with tears in my eyes, how much I appreciate that. And she looked at me and she said, but Sal, you taught me this. You taught me this. And I said, well, yes, you will always do what you want to do. Nyasha, if you want to eat better, you will. And if you want to cheat, you will. But you could also pay the price. And the difference is that we all need to learn to change, right? Change is not easy. So to change as much as you need to, Nyasha, is not going to be easy for you. And it's not going to be easy for your family either, because a lot of the things that the family probably eats, you're not going to be able to eat anymore. And so, by the way, Nyasha's asking, would the balsamic vinegar taste good? I want to tell you, oil and balsamic vinegar, awesome taste, in my view. And if you want to throw in a couple of cumin seeds, even better. Yes, Jody's saying, if you want to lower your blood sugar, having an open mind and willingness to change is the key. Okay. Anyway, so I just remember this incredible person coming to visit me and how much she did to be able to visit me. And then I said to her after the visit, well, now I've got a challenge for you. And she said, what's that? I said, you want to come camping? And she said, Sal, I can't get into a trailer. And I said, well, you showed me you can go upstairs, and there are only 3 steps into my trailer. but I hear you. So how do we do this? And literally we sat down and we worked out that she could actually sleep in their car more easily than get in and out of the trailer. And, it was really interesting because we actually worked on how to do it. And we took her camping. She had never been. And she said to me, it was one of the greatest memories. Literally we were busy making s'mores around the campfire and all sorts of things. And she said, I don't know how to thank you, Sal, because, you have a way of making me want to try these things. And I said, I'm in awe that you would want to. It's easier not to. So I look at all these things that are easier not to take control, right? So I want to tell you something, Nyasha. There are lots of things I have never had before that I am now eating. For example, or drinking. I am drinking almond milk, which I have never, ever had before. Because if I want to have more milk, it's okay. But I need to be careful what I'm eating, and drinking. I have learned how to make popsicles that I can eat. I want to have popsicles. So I learned how to make ones that were not dangerous for me. So again, I want to thank Lauren. And Nyasha, we'll talk to you about this on the group, honey. It's a huge discussion. If we could spend a year talking to you about this stuff. Okay? So we will do what we can to help you. This is, but something else, Nyasha? How much have you looked online? How much have you done? Because that's what I'm going to challenge you to do, is to find out online your answers to a lot of these questions, but make sure it is with a reputable website, like the Mayo Clinic or something. Okay? And then we will help you as soon as we can. Now, one of the things that brings me great joy, and it probably surprises you, is I get people write to me comments on the videos, but they do it in a foreign language. And I get great joy in copying and pasting whatever that comment was and finding the translation program, translating what they said, understanding what they were trying to tell me. And then what I did was I then typed into the translation program what I would like to reply, got the reply in their language, copied and pasted, and then put it in the comments. Now, that is a lot of work, people. But how many of you know I get such joy in doing that, because I'm pretty darn sure nobody expects me to do that? Can you understand why that would give me joy? And I want to say that it is really important for us to understand what brings us joy. Nyasha, you get a choice to make every day, every hour, every moment now. You get a choice where do you know how dangerous having diabetes can be? And do you want to have the complications? And, this is the difficult part about it. Nyasha's saying something that a lot of people probably don't think about, which is she said, there are many times I try to eat healthily, but unfortunately I have to stop because apples and all of the healthy foods are so costly. Yes. And that is something where we're going to have to do a lot of research for you. So, but what we're trying to warn you about, Nyasha, honey, is that you're going to have to make some very difficult choices, or else you are going to end up with things like amputations or heart problems or whatever, and you know that you don't want that. So it's not that you can't eat rice, but, it's like, can the family buy brown rice, not white rice for you? It's not that you can't eat pasta, but try and get healthy pasta rather than, or make your own. Do you know how to make healthy pasta? Because you can make it. You see, this is the difference where you talk to Sandy or you talk to Isabel or Jody or myself. We've learned to make a lot of the things that we need to be healthy rather than buy them. Yep. So we're going to work with you, but it's going to be hard work and you're going to really not like some of the changes, but none of us have. And look at me. All right. I managed not to even need to get onto metformin because I took immediate control of it. Immediate control. The day that they told me, you've got a choice now. And I will give you 3 months to work out whether you want to be on medication or not. And the way you decide that is by the choices you make. All right. That's what my doctor told me. He gave me 3 months to get my act together. And guess what? In 3 months, I did. And he just looked at me and he went, well done. You worked hard. I said, yes, I did. And I had to give up Mars bars and I had to give up my desserts every night. But now I have different desserts. You see, I've learned things that I can have, not things that I can't. Frederick Wilbur Faber said, there are souls in this world who have the gift of finding joy everywhere and leaving it behind when they go. How many of you know people like that? They can find joy in so many things. And, I look at Nyasha and Bernice with all the difference in that. Bernice, on hearing that she had to get control, immediately went and researched what she needed and did that. All right, so Nyasha's saying, I needed to be within a budget. I am a low-income earner and both parents are pensioners with lots of health issues. It is difficult. It's difficult for everybody, and I understand it's more difficult. This is about you may learn to cook your healthy snacks rather than buy them, because you may not be able to afford to buy the healthy snacks, but you probably can make them. And that is the difference. What are you prepared to do to help yourself, right? And it's going to be so much easier for you to just say, the reason I can't eat healthily is because, but whatever the excuse is. But the truth is, if you don't eat more healthily and a lot more healthily, if you don't get this under control, it will kill you. So that's what the doctor is trying to warn you. All right, is that not getting this under control is, the consequences are horrible. So that is what we care about. We don't care about the excuses, Nyasha. You understand? This is about, you are a smart cookie. You are very good at research from my experience of you. And this is called, if you could grow your healthy vegetables, right? You're in a climate where you could grow healthy vegetables. You don't have to go buy them. All right. So to me, this is like, and Nash is saying it's never been high before. It's the first time. I want to tell you, mine had never been high before. But once it's high like that, and yours is dangerously high, once it's high like that, you've got to get control in a hurry. Drink lots of water is a good thing. How many of you saw the joy I got the other day when I was learning how to make my own cheese, yogurt cheese, and now how to make my own goat cheese and It was so funny because if you could see me making it now, it's just like, okay, fine, I'll just boil up some milk and, put some vinegar and some lime juice in, lemon juice in. Thank you. Boom. Take the curds, I strain them, I make it's just like, why did I not know this years ago? And it was so easy. And so Kimmy is saying, right, that when she had her gallbladder removed, all right, that's when she got diabetes. Yeah, funny things happen. Yes, Niasha, and I know you do lots of research regarding your health because I've been listening to you a long time now. And so you can learn a lot of things. Don't concentrate on what you cannot do. Concentrate on what you can. All right. So you need to make sure the family knows that you have to have certain foods now. Um, and that do you buy your own food or does the family buy food for the house? Yeah. Um, Niasha, I'm not going to talk about that online, but if you've already done the damage there, that thing you're talking about, then it may not be reversible. Okay, the family buys the food. So therefore, the family needs to know what it is that you need to eat. All right. So you need to get a diet, what they call a diabetic type diet plan. And you need to start looking at the things you need to eat and let them know, let your daddy know that that the doctor was your daddy with you? Did he hear what the doctor said? And you're going to need to work with them in terms of getting the right ingredients so that you can cook. Or if you can't cook, that you get one of your family members, your extended family members to help you. It's interesting. Robert M. Sherfield said, optimists find joy in the small things. They are more concerned with having many small joys rather than having one huge one. And yes, you're saying in our country, it would seem like I'm the only one with this issue. That's not true. That is not true. I'm sorry. Inesha, it is not true that you're the only one in Tobago that has the issue. And, it's not, statistically, I find that very difficult to believe. I know you live on a small island, but it's not that small. It's very common. All right. So there might even be a support group of people. And so what the thing that I want you to work on there, Niasha, is your mentality, right? Again, I want you not to work on what you can't do, but what you get. They've never seen diabetes before. I'm sorry, maybe not that high. That would fascinate me if that is true. You are the only person on Tobago that has diabetes. I would find that very difficult to believe. But I would say, in a way, part of me would say, oh, the other one, whole different story. Okay, that I do believe. Your other problem, I totally believe. Okay. You're 13% of the population of Trinidad and Tobago have diabetes. There you go. Thank you, Jody. So how many of you are working hard at finding joy in small things? All right. For example, when I heard that I was pre-diabetic, I immediately said to my doctor, that was a self-inflicted wound. And he burst out laughing. He said, Sal, you've got to be one of the few patients I've ever, he said, I don't think I've ever heard a patient whose answer to, you are pre-diabetic, I need you to take control, said, well, that was a self-inflicted wound. And, he said, and you're laughing. I said, yeah, I am so happy. And he said, you're happy? I said, yeah, I got away with eating Mars bars that long. I'm very happy it lasted that long. I now know I can't eat them anymore necessarily, or very, very occasionally. And even so, probably only half. But I said, I got away with it for that long. That's amazing. And he just burst out laughing and he said, you've got a very strange attitude. I want you all to understand that this is scary stuff. This is really scary stuff, to be diagnosed with something like diabetes. But you know what I said to myself? Do you want this diagnosis, or would you rather have a cancer diagnosis where, it may not be under your control at all? And I'm going, no, I think I would rather have this one. It was like I was grateful that this was the diagnosis. Does that make sense? And the same thing as when they said my lungs are clear, but I've got a gallstone. I went, well, thank goodness it's a small one. So here we go, that we can change our thinking. I know that I couldn't afford, for example, a lot of the healthy treats that you can get, and neither can Jody. But you know what we do? We make our own. I believe Sandy does. I believe Isabel does. We make our own. Why? We know what's going in. We know what we're allowed to eat, and we can make it healthy. I found, for example, for me, that I like to have a dessert. It's just like I grew up with desserts and I still have a dessert. And I can take a packet of Jell-O and make, 4 little amounts of Jell-O, like a quarter of a packet in each. And I will put a little bit of fruit on top and a squidge of cream, a pressurized cream. And I can have that because I've worked out how to do it within my ability. Does that make sense? Yeah, so you're going to learn this, Nyasha. You can't learn it in a heartbeat, all right? You're going to learn how to do this or pay the price. So that is the decision that we all had to make. Jody, I can assure you, Jody did not want to end up with cancer. But she not only got cancer, but when she got clean of cancer, she ended up with lymphaderma. And so when you look at it, Jody is one of our greatest resources in terms of healthy eating. Oh gosh. So listen to what Kimmy's dealing with. She said, so far I've got an AFib, that's fibrillation of her heart. She has thyroid, and I have a thyroid as well. Yep. Has a kidney problem, and a retina has detached. So you got lots of things. But you know something, Kimmy? You still made the decision to come in and join us. Well done. So what I'm trying to tell you, Nyasha, is that you can buy no sugar Jell-O, right? No sugar added Jell-O. And you can buy no sugar, all sorts of things. You can buy no sugar added jam. And the thing is that you can get this under control even with a very limited budget. All right, Jody's saying her cancer also gave her diabetes, but she's so joyful to be alive and to make the dietary choices to help me change my life. Yeah. And Jeannie, I'm glad you're here, but sorry to hear that Misty has a problem. Misty being her dog. So I want to explain to you about, you will remember, for example, that I had problems with my Achilles for months. And then I managed to get some braces for my ankles to support my ankles better so that my Achilles weren't being stretched badly. And got my Achilles all but fixed when I put my left knee out. Now, I think my LCL, I think it's called, I think I've done something weird with that in some way. But again, it's like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to rest it. And what I find quite funny is, whoever's organizing up there, it keeps telling me I need to rest, right? Because every time I'm just about ready to get going again, something else slows me down. It's really quite funny. But you also know that I am not somebody that's going to use that as an excuse not to do things. Yeah, Kimmy's saying, I am lucky that I am on the earth every day. Yes, I agree with you. It is an attitude, Kimmy, and I am so proud of you. You will, unless you do, I would think to get your, Jody would know whether that is humanly possible to get it down from that level. You'd almost have to halve your blood sugar. So it would take a lot of hard work. And I'm not sure, can you get, okay, we'll talk to you about it afterwards. Yes, Kimmy's saying, and I will keep fighting. Yes, this is about you will keep doing whatever you can to help yourself. And Kim, that's why we really appreciate you talking about your challenges, because I don't think enough people understand exactly what you're going through. And also, Nyasha, you are going to gain a lot of confidence, and it's interesting to me that you needed to learn some of this standing up for yourself business before you got this diagnosis, because now this is going to be something where you're going to have to learn to say no to things. I would be very interested for you to write down what you eat every day. Okay? If you can do that, it would help us be able to help you. And say, you might want to just not eat that, but instead eat this if you can, right? And I would say that they normally take, Jody's talking about an A1C test. I'm due to have mine. They do that every 3 months, and that gives an average of what you've done. So if you start working on it now and start doing the right things now, you will see a change. Normally, they won't see that change for 3 months. A food log is helpful for you and for the doctors as well. Exactly, Sandy. Thank you for that input. So that is something that I would recommend that you do. And there are lots of programs that you can use to record your food. Okay? And they are free. So we'll help you on that one. How about this one? We cannot cure the world of sorrows, but we can choose to live in joy. So do you understand that, Nyasha, you can scare yourself stupid now, or you can say, it is what it is, I am about to change it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because that is what I said. I don't like what I heard, but it is what it is. Therefore, I need to change. The food is not going to change. I need to change. And I need to know. All right? I need to know how to do this better. And Jeannie's saying a positive attitude helps so much. Yeah. Um, how about this one? You know, I always try to bring you a little bit of news, see how you'll feel about it. I saw this in the last couple of weeks, and it said Amazon owned Whole Food Market is opening its first delivery only store in Brooklyn, New York. As the e-commerce giant looks to take a greater advantage of the coronavirus-induced surge on online shopping, how many of you can see that having your groceries delivered has become a much more normal thing in North America anyway? And that, you know, really, we are learning to change the way we do everything because of the virus. And Yasha, if we don't know what you're eating, we won't be able to make suggestions to you. So here's Kimmy. Kimmy has said, and that's interesting, that she did it very simply because she can't get insulin, right? She did it purely by changing her diet, getting more exercise, and drinking more water. You know, I think that's pretty impressive. Yeah. And so when you look at it, everything is about to change. We're all dealing with massive changes. And Nyasha, I understand that changes for you because you live on a very limited budget in a country that doesn't have a lot of the stuff that maybe we can get, doesn't mean that you can't make a plan. I would love to see you grow your own vegetables. You know, if you can't buy them, grow them. You know, get the seeds for a couple of bucks and grow them, as I am doing. Now, it'll take you a while to get good at it, but you can do it. All right, so Nyasha again is saying, and he also told me to cut calories. Yeah, that's all part of what we need to do. But everything that I eat on a daily basis contains calories. Yes. So here's what, if you look online and see the suggested foods on a diet, they will say, what is your weight? What is your age? You know, are you male or female? And then they'll, you know, show you for your age and your weight and everything, this is what you should be eating. So Jody is in the same thing, Kim. Kim is saying, when I can't get it, I control my blood sugar with exercise, diet, and water. Jody is basically weaning herself off insulin. She was on insulin for her diabetes, but she is doing fasting, intermittent fasting, and that has helped her tremendously. But first, she got control. Right. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend doing the fasting unless you can control what you eat. That's my personal thing. And Jeannie, I wanted to give you a round of applause as well, because you had great joy this week or in the last week of hearing that they actually can now destroy what's left of your house and start rebuilding. And that they're even going to put up a special electrical line so that, you know, the contractors can do that work. I was thinking how exciting that must be, and how that is like turning a corner away from all the bad stuff, and suddenly you're taking a different path in the road, which is now working towards the new house. And I wanted to ask you, did it feel like a joyful moment where you're going, wow, now we get to move on. Yeah, and so this is the whole thing. Kimmy's doctor told her not to do intermittent fasting, and that's fine. I think everybody will learn their way of doing it. Yes, so Nyasha, what he told you is he's not going to put you on insulin right now because he wants to know if you can get control. All right. And, you know, my doctor didn't even put me on metformin. My doctor believed I was capable of taking control enough that he didn't even put me on the metformin. Hang on a second. I just want to see what my reading was, if I can do it in American. Hang on a second. Who that are in the room right now, who actually have diabetes or are dealing with it. So you've got a lot of information here. And I would say, Nyasha, be grateful for the fact that you're in a group of people who understand what you're dealing with. And I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. All right, you're back. Okay. So I just want to send you all a big hug and just let you know that we can do this. All right, Nyasha, you can do this. All right, if you want to. And you can have all the excuses in the world for why you can't do it. That's your choice. And you want to be so joyful and so grateful that you have the internet where you can do all the research you want. You can have a spreadsheet and, you know, put in all your food, or you can get an app on your phone where you can put in all your food that you're eating and it'll tell you everything you want to do. If, you know, they can help you get control with metformin, you know, it's amazing. Be grateful, joyful that they have the medications they do. And they will see this as a change in process. You can get this. I got mine from where it was down to acceptable in a very short space of time. Yeah, mine was over 200 as well. Yeah, so just so you know. And I got it under control within a month by doing the right things. When I say, no, it wasn't a month, within 3 months, because that's when they redid the blood test 3 months later. The A1C gets done every 3 months. And within that first 3 months, I got it totally under control, enough that I didn't have to go onto the medication. So here is the thing. It is scary, but it is what it is. So let's deal with it. All right. And look at, you know, Nyasha, I know it's more difficult for you because of your budget restrictions and the foods that you can and cannot buy. I understand that, but it's still doable. There are over 10% of the people in Tobago have this. They might even have a group of people with diabetes that meet online. I would ask your doctor about that as well. And the thing is, there is hope and there is a possibility, but you're going to need to be able to say no to the foods. And by the way, if you look at it and say, well, I'll just have a bit of this and I'll just have a bit of that, and then first get control. The first thing that Jody taught me was get control. In other words, say no until you're under control. Once you're under control, then you can start saying yes to a little bit. Yes, well done, Yash. And Yash is saying, I'm not depressed or sad despite telling you all this. Back then, I would have been. Yes, I agree. And Yasha, big hug and thumbs up to you. All right? Because it is what it is. You can deal with it. All right? It is what it is, and you can deal with it. I want to tell you, I learned more from listening to Jody than you can imagine. By the time I even went to talk to the nutritionist, I knew so much more than they could believe. And the reason was because I know Jody. So, this is about be careful who you listen to. And I've got to say that. Be careful who you listen to. And also make sure you do your own work. So we are going to give you what help we can, but only you can do the work. You understand that? Jeannie, you are so right. That makes me so happy to hear you say that. Oh, tears in my eyes. Jeannie, who's been through hell and back and, with her house burning down, said, we deal with things we never imagined. And you certainly have, Jeannie. You've done a great job. Kimmy's saying, my family eats foods I can't have. I just remind myself what will happen if I eat it. There is the Diabetes Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and it's on Facebook. Wonderful. They might even help you get a monitor. Well done, Jody. What would we? I don't want to know. I don't want to know what we do without Jody. So what a joyful thing to have found. Well done, Jody. Amazing. This is DearMamaSal saying, this group of people is so special. I never dreamt in 1,000 years that we would help people the way that we do. So bottom line is that we will all have pain and despair in our lives. We will all have shock and horror in our lives. We will all have things happen the way we don't want them to in our lives. But the way we deal with them is our choice. We can either spend the next 5 years crying our hearts out because we can't do what we want to do, or we can say, now let me find out what I can so I can get healthy enough to start enjoying a few things again. I will never go back. It's like the pandemic. We will never go back to what was normal back in February. We will never go back there. So we need to get used to what is our new normal. We are all in control of our own happiness. Well done, Sandy. You bet we are. And guess what I'm going to be doing between the two broadcasts? I will be careful of the blades. So here we go. Let's take control of what we can control. Remember that. And let's make sure that our actions show that we are working towards. One thing, Nyasha, remember to work towards being healthier. It's going to be a huge learning curve for you. And we will hold your hand as best we can, but you can do so much to help yourself and learn how to cook these things that you can't buy. So Jeannie's saying, I'm allergic to nuts and kiwi. I like nuts, but I have none for many years. I simply can't eat them. And also remember, Jeannie, I love garlic, but my body doesn't. It's allergic to it. And so this is not a choice. I had to give up garlic. Whether I wanted to or not was irrelevant. I had to give it up. And does that make it difficult for me? It makes it very difficult to eat out, I can tell you that. So this is DearMamaSal saying, life sometimes is more difficult than we would like. Me and the ninja are going to go play now. Big hugs to you all. Nyasha, you can do this. We'll be there to help you. This is DearMamaSal saying, thanks for being here. And remember to bring joy into your life. It is your responsibility to bring it in. Life will bring you the other stuff, but your job is to turn it around. How do you turn it around? Just automatically, and go to the internet if you need to. What is the antonym, the opposite? If you're feeling angry, go to the internet and say, what is the opposite of anger? And see what it comes up with. And that's what you concentrate on. When you can, that really is amazing, the difference it makes in your life. So we can do this together if we want to. Or we can have all the excuses in the world why we can't do it. That is your choice. As Benji told me so many months ago, Sal, you can get your weight under control very easily. It is all about the food you're putting into your body. And so now, I know that's true of my diabetes. I know that's true of everything. It all is in relation to what we put in our body. And so I am waiting for Tommy the tomato to ripen. He's started to get big enough now that he's due to ripen. I hope he does so before the first frost, because I want to show you that I actually managed to grow one tomato this year. And it may take me another season of growing next year to find out a bit more. But I'm on my way to growing my own vegetables. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, eat the rainbow. You're quite right. That's what, but it was so simple what Benji said. You want to lose weight, Sal, put the right food in your body. If you want to change your blood sugar, drink enough water and, drink enough water and, again, know what foods cause you problems and be careful of them. And so, this is like when we can control our emotions, that brings us joy. When we control our food, that will bring us joy. By the way, I was this far away from that magic line of getting below that milestone that I've been trying to drop below. And then I went and had that meal and I put on 2 pounds. I just went, I am taking that weight off because I am getting below that milestone marker. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, I love you dearly. We can do this together. Thank you for letting us know. And let's all keep helping one another be joyful. Work on what we can do, not on what we can't. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thanks for being here. And we'll see you this evening when I'm going to play a bit more. Bye-bye for now.